Okay, are we on? Are we on? Yes, we are on. I should certainly hope so. Hello, everyone. Come one, come all, come in general. This is Top Knot Analysis, your favourite YouTube video essayist reviewer talkie man on the YouTube's Reddit, Stickety, Tops, and Tumblerinos. And sorry if my eyeliner is going a bit all over the place. It's just because I am trying to open up the stream so that I can see. I should certainly hope so. Hello, everyone. Okay, yeah, apparently, as far as I can tell, the audio graphies seem to be fine. Although, I'm sorry if my eyeliner's going a bit all over. Yeah, no, yeah, it's fine. Hell yeah! So yeah, it's a shame. I say it's, well, it's a bit of a shame. I wish the audio, I wish I mean, you know what? No, I can't complain about about the background game audio being a bit annoying to talk over, because I mean it is ambient for, the menu that it starts out as, and it may not be, it may not be great for long-term discussions. However, it's still nice as like a mood setter, so to speak. With that said, this is going to be a very talky heavy mini stream, so unfortunately I must insist on, okay, which of these, is it sound effects? Okay, it is. Okay, yeah, we'll have it going down in the background, why on earth not? Okay, so, good to have you guys back. I'm sorry that I missed the last window to stream at 5 PM yesterday. Long story short, some stuff happened, but on the bright side, things are better now, so yay, look forward to that. I just wanted to make this one mini stream on Dispatch, just to, just for posterity, pretty much, for my personal benefits. So yeah, we're gonna go over all of my choices, and yeah, this is not a review of Dispatch, this is more of a, I guess a semi-conjangled assortment of unrelated thoughts. So yeah, basically that. So yeah. Oh dear me, I accidentally moved some of the. Okay, there we go. Okay, hell yeah. And you know what? I don't feel too bad about increasing my own personal headspace just on account of, oh yeah, well, you know what? Hey, look at that! I can look at the visuals. Isn't that neat? Anyway, yeah, let's do it. So, you and 49% of players threw water at Flambe. Don't get... Okay, I have seen some of the clips later, and in hindsight, I wish I did throw alcohol on him because... okay, and also for reference, this is my first ever playthrough of the story. I got a couple of bad episode 4 and 5 spoilers, but generally, for the most part, I went through the story pretty spoiler-free. In fact, part of why I bought this game in the first place was because I was seeing so many things teetering on the edge of Spoiler Town. So yeah, you know what? I'm quite proud of my purchase. That said, yeah, I wish I threw alcohol on Flambe, because then it would have burned his eyebrows off, and that would have been funny. So yeah. Yeah. I say that would have been funny, even though both versions of the event are still hilarious anyway, in my humble opinion. So yeah. Can't really complain. Yeah. Good times. And, you gotta drop and roll, lad! At the Gita Bugnano. Okay, I will swivel myself to the side a little bit. Yeah, at the Gita Bugnano. Okay, yeah, I can still make hand gestures. No, okay, no. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Anyway. You and 46% of players did not kiss Blazer, which, yeah. I mean, I will say, Blonde Blazer's whole interview process, a little bit strange and weird in some ways, but also, yeah, like, I can't be too mad at her because, you know what, like, she said at the beginning, yo, just want to keep it professional, so you know what, taking her at her word. With that said, when you choose not to kiss her, she still reacts, like, semi-awkwardly as if she... Well, not even that. Like, more so... Okay, because I saw the version of it where you do kiss her, and she still seems to act... And she still acts almost as if she did want it to happen, even though in a... You know, in a my mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes type way. Which... interesting. We'll have to unpack another time of the week. Yeah, and 56% of players pulled the goon back up. Yeah, at the same time I wish I didn't, because it turns out, oh, there's a mattress down there, so that would have been nice. But whatever is cool. Your success rate in the fight with Toxic was 100%. You performed better than 1% of players. Hell yeah. You and 21% of players attacked the report. Oh yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, like, do I regret it? Not quite, but only in the sense that I feel like me taking that reporter being a dickhead would have sit just as right with me as it was for me to allow myself to have a bit of a crash out on that guy. Especially since, well, I mean, you know, no. He was being a massive knobhead, but it did not, it did not require... He didn't deserve to get punched in the face. Yeah, especially, yeah, that Werner Herzog-looking ass motherfucker. But whatever is cool. You and 39% of players dubbed Flambe sunglasses at night guy. I've seen the other one where it's like, oh, looks like a guy at a casino. I've forgotten what the other two insults are, but yeah, I'm glad with that insult in particular, so yeah. Also, not gonna lie, even though I wouldn't smash Flambe, he do got that shit on, so fair enough. You and 46% of players performed moderately well in the SDN's tutorial shift. Hell yeah. Yeah, 95% bro droid. Oh dear me. Oh, so, just Marvel Rivals update. Hell yeah. 24% of players ratted out Invisigal for punching you. Yeah, like, okay, like, oddly enough, okay, and also full disclosure, it was up to around episode 2 or 3 that I said, yo, I'm going to try to not romance anyone and just see how well the story carries things. And part of why I ratted out Invisigal was because, hey, like, you shouldn't punch your co-workers. You know, like, it's a fact of life. Yeah. Yeah, like my thought process was, okay, she needs to learn that there are consequences for your actions, and maybe this will help put her on the straight and narrow if she realizes that she can't keep getting away with this. So yeah, basically that. This ended up not being the case as the series went on. Like, okay, full disclosure. I ended up romancing Invisigal by the end and also liking it. At the same time, I have also, like, semi-swiveled around with the rest of the internet with, like, you know, with the blonde blazer apologia, to put it that way. So, yeah. All of that is to say, yeah, sure. Moving on. You and 35% of players preferred jelly-filled donuts, hell yeah. You and 74% of players decided not to ask Blazer out, only because she didn't want me to come. Yeah, which, yeah, I mean, yeah, the implications, am I right? But, but whatever, it's cool. You and 90% said no to dinner with Phenomenon and Blazer. Oh, yes, that too, that too. I mean, yeah, yeah, that too, yeah. You and 43% of players didn't let Sonar meet Vendor Stank. Which I wish I did in hindsight. So, yeah, like, just because, dude has a special interest. He may be a crypto bro, but I respect the grind. Most sent hero was Sonar. You performed better than 80% of players in today's shift. Oh, cool beans. You and 65% of players cut Coupe from the Z team. And, okay, and you know what? I'm going to get a little bit wang-jangly in the contextuals. So, the reason I cut Coupe was specifically because, specifically because she handcuffed Sonar at the beginning of the day. And, and I thought, okay, you know what? That is unfair that is unsporting behaviour, and also on a very important day where the person at the bottom of the barrel has to get axed, then you doing that kind of underhanded tactic deserves punishment. Therefore, that's the main reason why I cut Coupe from the Z team. But with that said, if we're taking this from a different perspective, Coupe does also say, yo, I really, really need this job. Of all of the characters in the earlier part of the episode, she seems to be the most concerned with being the one who keeps her job, and Sonar doesn't really get much, in the way of show that he really needs the job until you get up to the episode with the bar fight where he says, yo man, I know that must have been a really hard decision for you, but I really appreciate you, So yeah. I can respect, either choice equally, in my humble opinion, yeah. Yeah, I guess... Yeah, anything else I can say about that? I will also say, especially with, I think it was either after episode 3 or 4 in the Digital Deluxe that you unlock the comics, showcasing little individual stories showing, Coupe and Sonar. And I preferred Sonar's backstory to Coupe's. Not to say that Coupe's was bad, it was actually quite nice. Yeah, however, I was coming at it from the perspective of, okay, Sonar is a drug addict trying to go clean. If I kick him out of this job, then either Malevola would have to bring home the bacon for both of them, or he might have a relapse. And considering what happens at the end of the season, that is basically what happens. Especially on account of how Shroud's whole deal is weaponized disability. So, whereas Coupe, at least purely going off of all of her actions from before episode 3 and her comic story origin, she seems like a relatively sensible person who is just violent. Which I know that sounds a bit oxymoronic of me to say, but Coupe at the very least, even by her own admission, is a very competent person. So you would think, okay, if I cut Sonar, I might be putting a vulnerable person on the edge of relapse or something worse. If I let Coupe go, she could get a job as a trainee at a gym or a prize fighter or what have you. But no, she chose to go to Shroud in the end and go for revengeance. So, yeah. Even though there's another thing. I wasn't able to forgive Coupe for joining Shroud. I wish I was able to do that, because I would have. However, at the same time, I don't mind that I couldn't forgive Coop, because, I mean, yeah, like she decided to go to Shroud. Sonar, I would have an easier time believing that he had no other choice. So, yeah, basically that. You and 77% of players threw a chair into Golem. Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad I did, because he ended up taking that joke in stride. Then once he actually let that sink in. So yeah, yeah. You know, I think I will expand myself ever so slightly, so y'all can see more of my pretty ass face. Yeah. 99% of players hoped Invisigal against Lightning Struck. Hell yeah. 14% of players said you set this program on fire. Honestly, I think I'm okay with that. You know, like, I wish, not even I wish, I feel like I could have chosen a different option and it would have been better, and I would have chosen a different option for that part of the speech in hindsight, but yeah, I don't mind. It still worked and it still got the job done. Yeah, yeah, like, okay, more specifically, like, I chose, oh, you set this program on fire to show, okay, yes, like, you guys have the chance to rise from the flames, whereas instead, Robert said, that's why you need to burn up your old selves in order to become, you know, the better versions of yourself, which, I mean, I do get that sentiment, and I don't entirely disagree with it, but for the sake of making a motivational speech, I would have rather it gone the way I initially thought that would have gone, so yeah. But whatever, it's cool. You and 28% of players said Fate is bullshit. I wish okay, actually no, because, like, I was going to choose a different option to Fate is bullshit. I forgot what the other options were, but I was going to choose between one or two others. However, I took so long choosing that it ended up auto-choosing for me. So, yeah. But with that said, when I went through that cutscene at the time, I still liked the outcome, so fair enough. 18% sent, 18% punch up into Coupe to compete in the fighting tournament together. And we won, so yay. You and 88% of players successfully protected Victor Zaslav from his enemies. Most sent hero is Coop. You performed better than 30% of players in today's shift. Activated the hero's powers 31 times. 53% of players added Waterboy to the Z team. So yeah, like going back a little bit from my last episode where I was talking about Phenomenon and Waterboy, I don't regret my decision to choose Waterboy. However, I am very, very, very interested to do a Phenomenon run through. In fact, I'm even more interested to do a Phenomenon run through now that I have done an Invisigal run through, because if I do decide to go through Blonde Blazer's story route and decide to romance her while Phenomenon is still on the team, then I would be interested to see what drama unfolds from that. So yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, I gave Waterboy his shot at on the Z team for two reasons. One, it would be nice to build someone up from being, you know, a piddly weakling to, you know, an actual competent hero, than having the guy who's super-powered from the beginning. Well, I mean, they're both super-powered, but you know what I mean. And, second reason why I didn't include on Phenomenon on my last playthrough, or my first playthrough, I should say, is because he's depressed, and, you know, like, nothing against people with depression, but I don't think you should do a high-stakes job if you're not fully there mentally. Yeah, so, like, So, like, you know what? And you know what? Here's another thing that I'm going to say, and that I'm going to get a bit spicy with. So, like, part of the appeal of going through Invisigal's, like, storyline, whether you want to romance her or not, if you at least want to save her from villainy, quote unquote, then part of that is coming from a perspective that, hey, this person with great power should, you know, should try to become a better person and have a healthier mental outlook on things. And if you can help someone go from having a bad mindset to a good mindset, then surely that's a good thing. You know, regardless of if you get to suck face or not. So with that in mind, like, yeah, I'm going to say, if you chose if you chose Phenomenon first over Waterboy on the account of, well, actually no, because I mean both Phenomenon and Waterboy have, you know, not mental issues, but like emotional hardships. So yeah, you know, that was a bad example. I was going down whatever it's called, dismiss all of that I just said. But I will say something else. Like, going back to why, like, another thing about cutting Coupe that I found interesting was that like later on down the line, you get the decision of whether or not you want to cut Invisigal from the Z-Team. And I would say sparing Sonar is the only way in which keeping Invisigal on the Z-Team as well makes, like, logical sense for me. Because Robert, if he decides to keep Invisigal despite the team's vote, Robert says, yo, we shouldn't kick people while they're down. And that felt quite evocative to me of, yeah, we shouldn't kick people while they're down, i.e., if you handcuff your co-worker to a barbell because you wanted to get one over on the team, then that is something that should not be tolerated, and therefore we should help the person who is the victim in that scenario, and in this scenario, that would be Invisigal. If Invisigal was the victim in that scenario, because she almost died. So, yeah. Yeah, what else was I going to say about that? I guess, okay, other thing I will say, though, it sucks that you don't, like, okay, here's the thing. The game seems very comfortable with, like, exploring all of the bad juju that Invisigal does, and, you know, and giving you, like, a fairly even amount of opportunity to either, you know, like, not take her bullshit, or take a considerable amount of bullshit, provided that you can try to talk her out of some of it. I don't think the game gives you that... Oh, pardon me. Now, as much as I like the game, and I like a lot of the choices and how everything has gone through, I feel like it doesn't give you that many options to seriously have a go at Blonde Blazer. Yeah, like, I mean, largely because, in fairness, all of Blonde Blazer's flaws are not as severe as being, you know, a toxic semi-serial sexual harasser. And that's on the light end of, of Invisigal, and on the worse end, being the person who is the reason why you don't have your good shit and can't help people no more. But also, again, that was also partly because of Shroud's power of exploit disability, so there's that. But whatever, it's cool. I feel like I was going somewhere with this tangent. I guess, yeah. I think, okay, the only okay, Blonde Blazer doesn't have a lot of flaws, but of the two times that she did have, like, I guess major, like, well, not major, but, like, quite significant unsympathetic moments that I feel the game didn't really unpack much, was, one, her making the decision that you have to cut someone from the Z team, and, okay, and also hand in hand with having to cut someone from the Z team, I also don't like that Blonde Blazer was playing the Nepo Baby card with Invisigal. You know, like, she just flat out said, yo, even if Invisigal did get the lowest rank, I wouldn't have let you kick her out. So it's like, okay, I mean, can I not take that comment up to HR? Because that just sounds like a flagrant that just sounds like a flagrant admission of, you know, of improper conduct in the workplace, in my opinion. Yeah, and then that also led me to think, well, oh, wow, it sure is a good thing that Invisigal didn't get cut, because, yeah, or more so that we don't have to have that conversation because of the bounty situation that went on. So it's like, I feel like that moment was that was a bad moment on Blonde Blazer's part that I wish, that I wish got explored more, but I'm not too mad about it because overall she's still, you know, a nice lady for the most part. Yeah, like, at the very least, even though both Invisigal and Blonde Blazer are misguided, I'd say they're misguided in much different ways. Like, Blonde Blazer is basically, like, you know, the nice friend who occasionally, you know, doesn't take no for an answer, but for the most part tries to, like, appease everyone. And Invisigal is just out for herself. And also that's another thing. Considering part of why Invisigal left Shroud's group was because she felt guilty about what she did to us. I mean, the fact that she left that group because out of guilt, and then still proceeded to give us shit and even sock us in the face. I get that she's not exactly meant to be the emotionally intelligent one, but, like, if her, like, reacting the way she was throughout the entirety of the game before confessing was her trying to put on her nice, her nice gal persona, then that really makes you think of, oh boy, what else could have happened if she decided to leave Shroud for other reasons, or not at all? Yeah, but again, Shroud had the power of exploit disability. I keep saying that. I should probably clarify that. I will clarify that once I get to the rest of my choices. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and, you know what, side note before I get onto the rest of my choices in terms of Waterboy or Phenomenon. One thing that I'm really interested on with one thing that I'm interested in with Phenomenon, and hand in hand something I'm interested in terms of his relationship with Blonde Blazer, is that Blonde Blazer and a couple other characters, including Phenomenon himself, make reference to the idea of, oh, I'm not a person, I am an alien, and therefore above it all. Even though I think it is quite nice that humans try their best. And so, I feel like, like Phenomenon being depressed because the love of his life broke up with him is one thing. If it turns out that another part of Phenomenon's depression is because he feels like he's not enough of a human, or that he feels isolated from humanity because they see him as perfect, and that's why he only allows himself to, that's why he only like takes more solace in his identity as Phenomenon instead of understanding that Blonde Blazer would, despite. I'm muddling over my words. I'm going to blow myself. That's right. New box, y'all. New box that I'm going to blow on. Anyway. Sorry I had to see that, ladies and G-spots. Anyway, so, what was I going to say? Yeah, basically, I mean, if part of Phenomenon's story arc is about exploring his depression, and part of it is because, everyone thinks that I am not a human, and therefore this makes me sad, because even though humans are very small and weak, and occasionally a little overly emotionally stimulated, I think sometimes I would quite like to be a human. So, yeah. I say this not having played Phenomenon's story yet, but I am very much interested to see that sometime. And also, shout out to the kiss moment. That's going to be interesting when I replay on a Blonde Blazer playthrough. So yeah. And also, apparently, there's a harem ending. I'm not sure if it ends with you getting slapped in the face by both ladies, but either way, sounds like a win-win. So we'll see how that goes eventually. Wrong one. 63% of players watched a movie with Invisigal. And, yeah, I was okay going with Invisigal because, you know what, we were talking first, and also, she's clearly a bit of a social reject, and a loner. So, you know what, let's reach out to her and try to make, let's try to make nice, and maybe this'll help, Whereas Blonde Blazer, even though I was intrigued to meet her, she's a nice, well-off white lady. If I leave her alone, she'll be fine. Blonde Blazer will be fine no matter what for the most part. Invisigal, probably not. Anyway. You and 37% of players threw a protein shake at Flambe. And, you know what? I'm glad I did, because apparently the spaghetti was Blonde Blazer's. So, yeah. You and 78 warned Blonde Blazer about her dress. A slight hue shift. You and 36 players returned to the baby kaiju. Hell yeah. 81% failed to save all 3 businesses from the brain teaser. Yeah. I'm really, really annoyed that I didn't do the brain teaser quest because in hindsight the answers were really easy and me getting them wrong just made things worse. So yeah, I should have known Wolf Among Us. I picked one of the other Wolf Among questions. So yeah, 17% failed to answer all 3. Yeah. Most recent formed Okay. 84% of players told the Z team you were Mecha Man. So hell yeah. Yeah. I will say this. Even though I am glad that I told them I was Mecha Man and I wouldn't do it any other way, I will say after watching the clip of him saying, I'm Robert Robertson, I think that was a very, very strong answer. I feel like if I could mix and match both, in a perfect world, if I could mix and match both, both speeches, where you say, I am Robert Robertson and I am Mecha Man, if I could take the best bits out of both options, then mesh them together, that would have been cool. But yeah, otherwise, glad that I told them the truth. You and 91% of players told Invisigal they had a good time, because I did. 28% of players told Chase they would not kill Shroud. And, okay, here's the thing. This was the first, and if memory serves me right, only choice on my first time through this game that I save scummed at. So, yeah, because, like, I was tempted, I wanted to say, you know what, I might kill Shroud. However, I didn't want to upset Chase. Then I said, okay, I don't know if I would kill Shroud. But then Chase made the valid point, well, you shouldn't not know if you're gonna kill someone. You should decide from the beginning if you're going to kill someone or not, because then that could mess things up. So, yeah. So in the end, I decided not to kill Shroud. I'd say I wouldn't kill Shroud, only because I know Chase wouldn't have wanted it. Does that mean I have a no-kill rule as a hero in general all the time? Not necessarily, but then again, I don't remember if there's anyone else I could kill, so yeah. 78% of players held your own against the Red Ring at the Sardine. 26% of players failed to save Torrent's middle school talent show. 51% chose to send the ground team to the rescue, and it went well, so hell yeah. Most sent hero Waterboy. I mid-maxed him with Intelligence, so yay. Yeah. You and 31% of players are ready to send the Z team to retrieve the Astral Pulse. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, this comes to the... dear me, I have eaten a little bit ago, so maybe me yammering on so much isn't the best thing for my health, but whatever, it's cool. Oh, we have a new video from Little Joel. The Bliss and Agony of... Oh, Babylon B, that's going to be interesting. Anyway. Yeah, so. I really don't like that, that Blonde Blazer told us that we shouldn't have gone for the Astral Pulse. Because at the end of the day, you know, like, whether you like Invisigal or not, she does make a very valid point of, yo, this is a time-sensitive issue. You know, the Astral Pulse is actively being hunted down by a bunch of villains. We should act soon as possible. Like making a plan would be nice, but if the plan is time-sensitive, then whatever. You can draft a plan while the team is travelling on the way there in a pickup truck. Also, you're a dispatcher. Your whole job description is making up plans on the fly to see who would be best for doing what on short notice. So, yeah, you know, so, yeah, basically that. And also, like, okay, you know what, I'm also going to take this moment to throw a not insignificant amount of shade towards Classic Man D. Full disclosure, Classic Man D, if you're probably not watching because you heard the first few words that I said, like, I like you. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy who says the funny things, and I like your videos. With that said, you know, I understand where you're coming from in terms of the point that, yo, everyone has been drinking and partying before finding out where the Astral Pulse is, so therefore Blonde Blazer was obviously in the right because, fluffing, blah blah blah. Yeah, Blonde Blazer was obviously in the right because, because then you would have been sending the Z team drunk. Never mind the fact that, okay, I initially... Words. Malevola can make portals! But that's beside the point. But, yes, that is beside the point. Because, at the end of the day, like, Blonde Blazer didn't say, yo, okay, you guys shouldn't go because you're drunk, but I can send a different hero team right now. You guys stay here. Yeah, like Blonde Blazer didn't propose any kind of actual solution to the issue that would have, that would have benefited a time-sensitive, reaction towards finding the astral pulse. So, yeah, basically that. With that said, I do agree, yes, Invisigal was, being a dick towards Chase, but also Chase did start it. Because, not only that, Chase started it, and that was in response to that was in response to Invisigal trying to do a good thing as well. And also on account of we find out that Invisigal was, never truly with Shroud ever since the bomb incident. Invisigal obviously wasn't leading anyone into a trap in hindsight with that as well, so that's another thing that adds towards things. Yeah. Oh, my throat. Jesus. I hope I'll still have enough, throat goatage in order to stream the Lace fight eventually, but whatever, it's cool. Yeah, basically that. Oh. Boop. 69 nice % of players dance with Invisigal. Hell yeah. Sorry to have to do this to you again. Dear Lord. Whew. Okay, we can do this. Wish I brought some drink with me. There we go. Okay. 45% of players superhero posed in the Mecha Man suit. Because hell yeah. 20% of players reprogrammed Vanco's delivery bots. I mean, only because I assumed if we didn't, then they would have gone on a rampage again, so yeah. 58% of players lost the mole people to the Red Ring. Oh, that's unfortunate. 12% of players did not come to the rescue of the Faction of Light. I saw a little bit of the Coupe reaction to that one, on YouTubulars. So yeah, in hindsight, I wish I sent someone who was like, a fluffing role player, man. Most on heroes, la 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 la. Invisigal from the Z team. I already made my thoughts on that clear for why I did things that way. But yeah, basically that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a damn shame that it hurt morale, because in any other situation, it sucks, because in any other situation, I would have let the Z team do a democratically elected vote. But at the same time, I guess, you know what? Great power comes great responsibility, I was responsible for saving, for making sure that my choice didn't end up coming out bad. And you know what? Because I ended up saving Invisigal from the root of all evil, I'm proud of my choice on that one. Even though, from a purely ethical standpoint, I should have left it to the vote. Especially since Young Gravy Man was taking it so well, so yeah. Honestly. Okay, that's another thing. Critical Role, Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, anyone else who's listening for potentially making Season 2. I mean, first off, I would watch 300 seasons of this in a heartbeat, so there's that. Second, oh yeah, now I remember. Second, BB No Money. Yeah, that's the... Putting in the music in post. You'll see how that turns out. So yeah. 1800. Anyway. So yeah. Oh god, if they have BB No Money and Danny Motter in Season 2, that would be hilarious. Anyway. 26% of players didn't know how to feel about Invisigal's confession. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot to take on, so yeah. You and 81% of players leaned into Invisigal's kiss. Here's the thing. Like, okay, as much as I was, like, jokingly slagging off classic Mandy before, in the last number of minutes ago, I will give him... Oh, I almost disconnected the audios. I will give him this. He was right when he said, yo, if Invisigal was a dude doing half the shit that Invisigal was doing, then everyone would rightly call that character a massive pervert. And on the one hand, this is true, but on the other hand, even though I feel like the kiss was bad timing, I still liked it. So there's that. So, Invisigal, congratulations on not being a dude, I suppose. Yeah. That sounds almost sexist of me, I'm sorry, but... different strokes, different folks, I suppose. So, yeah. You gonna eat those Twinks? Glass the bartender. You know what? I wish I didn't glass the bartender, because, at the end of the day, although, then again, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a bit of assault apologetics coming at you live. Why should you, as a player, want to glass the bartender, despite the fact that, in my opinion, not glassing the bartender led to a better story-related interaction? Well, I would say between the 3 main moments where Robert gets to enact violence on people, excluding the bar fight, where in fairness he tries to talk it down to some degree, I would say, if you punch the reporter, then glass the bartender, and Shroud predicts that, then I would say that makes sparing Shroud mean more. Because you know what? Because if your Robert is a little bit of a violent psychopath, like someone who's not afraid to like throw hands at a moment's notice, and who's and might have a mild amount of anger issues, then I think that climaxing in a moment of like enlightened restraint is an interesting combination of story beats. So yeah. But with that said, I will admit, if you don't glass the bartender and then listen to Shroud saying, "Oh, I didn't predict that you would have been that weak," that is good foreshadowing as well for another ending that I ended up getting. So yeah. Rescued Golem from himself, hell yeah. Chose to go all out against the Red Ring, hell yeah. I need to let my voice rest eventually. Yes! Deceived Shroud by giving him 2 astral pulses, so hell yeah. I'm going to go on a wild limb chase and assume giving him just that regular astral pulse on its own would have... okay, this is purely speculation. I'm assuming if I gave him the real astral pulse, either, game over screen, or Invisigal slits his neck from behind. either or. Showed mercy and spared Shroud. Again, under non-extenuating circumstances, I probably would have killed Shroud. But, you know what? Chase, Alaxia, I want you. We can do this the easy way. Stay true, as you do. 87% trust in Visigal and Uncut Tighter. Yeah, because... it's obvious that she wasn't... Then again, no, it wasn't obvious that she wasn't trying to steal the suit. But, but at the end of the day, she had the astral pulse, so why return to the scene of the crime? Invisigal doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would, want or know what to do with a mech suit. For all we know, I initially thought that Invisigal would have kept the astral pulse for herself to cure her asthma. So, but whatever, it's cool. 73% of players supported Invisigal, leading her to embrace heroism over villainy. So, hell yeah. Yeah. It's a gusher, alright. 29% of players lost to Coupe. Damn it all, yeah. I didn't defeat Coupe. I wish I did. I'm going to go on a wild limb chase and assume if I did defeat Coupe, then I would have been able to forgive her and welcome her back into the Z-Team. So, yeah. 78% of... Okay, that's another thing. I keep saying, Shroud... Okay, stop me if I already said this, but yeah. Shroud's whole deal is holding all of his goons' healthcare ransom by deciding who can and cannot have their disability needs met, and if you decide to leave him, then he revokes your disability benefits. That's basically his power. Or one of his abilities, tech-based shenanigans. So, with that in mind, Coupe deciding to get, all kitted out with new swag. Don't get me wrong, Coupe is a much better suited villain for a villain route than Sonar, but... but yeah, it really does pile on the fact that Coupe didn't have to do this. Whatever, it's cool. Rescued Sonar first over Waterboy. As long as both of them get saved either way, I don't hugely mind. 20% didn't have the opportunity to keep Coupe out of jail. Damn shame. Refused the coffee run? Yes, obviously. 64% of players made Invisigal put away Thumbstick's dick. Yes! Yes, I did. Because you know what? For as much Invisigal apologetics I have been giving this episode, or stream, I should say, you know what, Invisigal, you still did a lot of bad juju. This is punishment. Yeah, I think it's a small price to pay for literally stabbing me in the back with a pipe bomb. So, yeah. And Everyman, your Robert always kept everyone guessing what he'll say or do next. Well, I guess that's that. So, yeah. Yeah. Do I want to go over the comics as well? Okay. Only because my voice is feeling very sore right now, I'm not going to go over the comics today. Maybe I'll go over them later. Maybe I'll do a full-on, 38-hour live stream of a second playthrough of this on stream. But until then, I'm very much in the mood to put my laces out, let's say. So, yeah. Dear Lord. So, this has been Top Knot Analysis, your favourite YouTube video essayist reviewer talkie man. I will start up another stream eventually soon. I just need to, well, first off, get this charged up again. Dear Lord, look at that. Look at the light refractions. Oh boy. I hope y'all can't use that little piece of so-and-so to find out where I live. Anyway, yeah. Take care now. Bye-bye then. And I'll talk to you later.